In his pomp, Francisco Hernani Lima da Silva was one of Brazilian football's pioneers. He's currently the general manager of Fortaleza's Arena Castelao, but in the 1980s, Mirandinha, as he was known, was a prolific striker. And the long road to stardom began just down the road.
When I was young, 14 or 15, I would play football in a well-known area close to my house called Lagamar. It was a poor neighborhood, and children there were deprived of opportunities. At 15, I was already playing with adults and had taken a very keen interest in football. From time to time, I would even neglect my studies and miss school to play football.
Mirandinha made history in 1987 when, aged 28, he became the first Brazilian to sign for an English club. A student living in Newcastle in England's northeast alerted the local club to Mira's goal-scoring prowess, which had earned the Palmeiras striker a call-up to Brazil's national team for a friendly in London.
The senior national team was always my main dream and objective. I eventually made my full international debut at Wembley, the home of football. There had already been some interest from Newcastle to sign me, and we had, in fact, already started negotiations. Even so, I played that game from start to finish with a great deal of will and determination, and that helped me score Brazil's equaliser. That served to ensure I would end up in England and head to Newcastle United.
Now 54 and living comfortably in his hometown of Fortaleza, Mirandinha struggled to adjust to life in England. There was the language barrier and the food, and the style of football was somewhat different to what he'd grown used to. But help was at hand from an unlikely source.
The ball was always in the air. I wasn't a tall player. I'm of medium height. But I managed to overcome those challenges with a great deal of dedication and, above all, with the support of my teammates. They were extremely important in helping me to settle in, especially Paul Gascoigne, who was quite young at the time. He was a true host and always gave me his full support.
After 19 goals in 54 games for Newcastle, Mirandinha returned to Palmeiras, and after a spell in Japan, he retired in 1995. He's tried his hand at coaching, but it's managing Fortaleza's World Cup stadium that's keeping him busy right now. The tournament's been good for him, and he feels others will benefit too.
I believe this will be a unique moment for all of us here in Brazil, and perhaps more so for the people in the state of Ceará, here in the northeast, where things don't happen as easily as they can do in other parts of Brazil. But thanks largely to those involved with the construction of the arena and those dealing with the organization of the Confederations Cup and the World Cup itself, we will reap the benefits for years to come.
Mirandinha's international career was all too brief, just 4 appearances for Brazil, but he'll be a keen observer of the national team's fortunes when the FIFA World Cup gets underway. But he may well be back in the game by then. His contract with the Arena Castelao runs out in December, and he's itching to get back on the training pitch to pass on his knowledge to Brazil's next generation of globe-trotting stars.
I will remain in football. If it's in the interests of Arena Castelao for me to continue doing what I have been doing, I will stay on until the 2014 World Cup. But I will eventually return to where I really belong, to the football pitch, where I enjoy working the most. I would like to develop potential young talent wherever it exists. I will return to coaching, because that's what I like to do.
Voltar para o banco de reserva, que é o que eu gosto de fazer.